Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. Have some ideas about a fictional thing, each one featuring different levels of seriousness. Spoilers, here we go. Squall's gunblade may have been soaring through the air because Safer recently fired his own at it. Also, said Syrian sword-swinging sadist slashes his foe's face because he just likes to blind people. Hence his limit break involving shoving a mini-sun directly into people's eyes. Elone may have been testing out her abilities on Loner Little Bro during his mini post-training coma deal. The flash forwards are from him having time-displaced visions before she could focus well enough to send him through Laguna's legacy. There's rather a lot of freedom in Military Academy Garden's rules, both because Sid doesn't know what kind of environment leads to the victorious future Squall, and also so they don't lack in personal activity so much that GF Memory Erasure makes them completely lose themselves. That is, they'll still behave like complete people even if there's no currently tellable backstory of what made them their current selves. On that note, the staff encourages card gameplay because they think a hobby that's fun and requires frequent memorization will help them hold on to themselves all the more. The disciplinary committee is apparently so strict with what they get from the cafeteria because they impose rules upon others who hoard their favorite food and don't want to blow their full scheme's cover. There aren't any encounters on roads because monsters really fear getting hit by cars. This applies even more to train tracks, of course. Guess none of these moon-originating foes can suplex all that great. She's checking on his battle skill knowledge, not just due to the head injury making her worry about brain damage, but also because a Squall who definitely knew that stuff shouldn't have lost to Safer. Basically, she's getting paranoid about some personal trouble making him sloppy as a result of very big sis kind of feelings. Twistis is so insistent on Scan being utilized because she uses it regularly to find out about blue magic and thus has a special fondness for it. Balam Garden must have been selected to be near the Fire Cavern to give a basic Elemental Guardian Force test for students. Trabia must have an Ice one, while Galvadia does Lightning. Students get access to the other two with a digital training exercise. Paramagic can be shared via computer, so it makes sense an internet upload can grant one the ability to summon if they pass a virtual test. Of course, the other two Guardians have abandoned the EF system by this point, but whatever. 8 potions are a tad stronger than many other entries in the series, and there are a fair bit more variants, like Mega ones, because of Odine's super successful studies regarding magical science. They allow returns at the cafeteria just in case someone can't remember they have an allergy, or at least what kind of food they don't like. Speaking of which, the written test is difficult for many because of mystical amnesia. Dude doesn't want to shake Zell's hand because it's covered in food crumbs. The list must have originally just been a way to remember everyone's names. Safer made it something malicious because he was looking at it all angry when he couldn't recall what it was for. Then Dude couldn't recollect his unpleasant feelings came about from not understanding why things were written down and concluded that he must be angry at everyone on this paper. Exam points are lost for talking to people because they don't want to risk graduating folks who blow their own cover as mercenaries. The guy grasping his torso a bit as he leaves the boat must be someone else Fujin likes to hit. Sid could have very well put Bratty Blonde Boy in charge of the test to gauge how forgiving his adopted kids would be of Adia once she regained herself. After all, if they can't brush aside their peers' temper tantrum, there's much less of a chance mind-controlled lady would be welcomed back with open arms. That dog howls at the G soldiers because some of them gave it treats before. Oh, Captain doesn't have to change into a uniform for the test because he kept getting his wrecked from training too rough. So Garden just gave up on resupplying him following orders from Cheapskate Norg. GFs learn abilities so fast because being Junction Period is already honing their natural skills by partially calling them forth. It's more or less like wearing weights for them. Taking Selfie's shortcut reduces rank because B Squad's leader didn't rescind the order to scout the area for enemies. She enjoys the lift so much because elevators are essentially locomotives that go up. The satellite dish startup sequence takes monumental moment mass away to give folks who accidentally activate it time to retract everything just in case ADL interference is still too much. Summon names are visible in the draw list from the get-go because those already on hand can sense their semi-kin. Squall decides to deliver a finisher whenever he sees his opponent stagger enough for a definite victory chance. That's why he's extra likely to do it after scoring a bunch of good hit shots. The eagerness for faux fatalities probably stems from top faculty egging him on more about never failing a job than other students due to their knowledge of him slaying ultimate enemy types. Biggs and Wedge must have dropped Weapons Monthly March issue when Elvarot blew them away. They were reading it while on break. The guys got it from occupying a local bookstore. Very much related, the Spider-Mech ATM what have you was originally brought to deal with the monsters nesting up on that hill. Safer's failed the field exam enough times to know he can ditch the rules as soon as they get off the boat. Hence him reverting to full jerk mode and taking the car without everybody else. Selfie isn't in the hallway with their letter 2 comrades because they seem to have been calling names out in alphabetical order of squad. So apparently nobody from C passed. Sucks to be them. In addition to often speculated stuff about saying Mr. Just Hit Puberty is handsome to reassure that the facial scar didn't leave him hideous, Renault calls Squall the best looking guy here because the last one she ran into resembled a chicken. BG's training center is open 24/7 to help with nocturnal monster practice. The cafeteria allows for late-night scheduled meals because some people need medication. Quistis thinks battling a sleeping T-Rex is super easy because she just relies on her wake worry-free non-physical limit abilities when they're nappy. Seems getting hit with laser eyes isn't enough to kick somebody out of Slumber Town. This secret area must be somewhere not listed in the facility's blueprints. May have been meant as an extra place for its giant yellow owner to reside, or in contrast, somewhere Sid could hide from the aforementioned fellow if he starts being himself too much. Oh, and Alone was probably trying to go here because she wanted to see how Squall interacted with other orphans. The Treepies determined those stats by using a battle meter like what Mr. Kramer hands the player. Sid decided to let Squall have a go at Diablos because he figured the liberation of Timber would take a long time, and thus that'd be the best place for this extra GF which hadn't been truly recruited yet. This title's whole level scaling thing could very well be the result of Ultimisa reactively strengthening monsters through her current limited time travel malarkey. Maniac skimming alters the Laguna sequences somewhat because Jacket Jr. knowing more about Dad, even if it's indirect through reading one of his articles, enhances double adoptive Sis's powers a little bit. On that note, Alone can send the party back when she's very far away because that's her limit break. It activates right now in particular because she heard about Squall going on his first seed mission and is thus feeling pretty stressful. There's not much exploration during these sections, especially with no world map, because Miss Chrononap being trapped in one place most of the time makes her have trouble focusing that much on traveling freely. These soldiers stationed around the hotel are a lot less formal with Mr. Machine Gun because they're used to seeing him stumble around Julia. Zell's likely the one who says Laguna talked to himself too much. He believes the dude should gab onto everybody else endlessly, like him. Those two woke up first because when sleep spell slinging Surrogate Sister's sufficiently stressed, she can't concentrate enough to help with the non-honorary uncle past people. What most of the various rebel factions in Deadwood City must usually spend their time doing is distracting the Galvadians from whatever group that's making the greatest progress there is currently pursuing. Thus nobody pays any mind to the big yellow train car running on its own. Captain Whatever won't shake Zone's hand because it smells like the digits of one who uses the bathroom too much. The fake president is well stocked with a cure spell, which harms his undead self because Delling's troopers wish to be able to dispose of said creature easily if it got out of control. People's intense emotional states may generate draw points from the natural magic they can't use on their own without excessive training. Thus they are in places like Timber Maniac, which is full of people who might be constantly directly threatened by a certain occupying military force. That barrier Ultimisa erected to stop Quistis may have been something she regularly uses to keep people out of her castle. Sort of a smaller variant on the ability ceiling that goes on within there. On that note, main villain lady likely learned how to teleport through space while researching how to travel across history. The chief probably got those items from some soldiers she beat up. Wise, wily whip woman is extra hesitant to take Zone's ticket because he's good enough at disguises that it actually looks like some random old man is offering her the thing. Also, Area Dude of course decides to hide in a bathroom because if he laid low somewhere else, his digestive issues would make him wind up there anyway. Not to mention his preferred reading. Irvine must have volunteered immediately because he glimpsed his friends during sniper training as soon as they entered Galvadia Garden. Zell's irritation here lets him produce that impressively minor vibration because he achieved limit break status due to fake Flirt's funkiness. Those two who ran off may have been commissioned to execute this sorceress via GF utilizing the brothers. Caraway can explain everything without missing his enemy eye-free moment and physically set up stuff for this elimination scheme because he likely planned the entire parade. Renoa's own bedroom must have weird trap locks like the wine glass thing. Oh, and the general has such stuff there just in case someone makes an attempt on his family. Quistis is all pissy throughout this section because she subconsciously remembers the pain of having no parents and being jealous of those who did. Prickly Patriarch's cover for walking these strangers around town is that he's giving his daughter's friends a tour of Delling City. By the way, Blue Beauty can sneak into the presidential residence so easily because she's actually invited there along with her dad. Anyway, future femme fatale knows about Renoa because of Safer's romance ramblings. Also, she likes to cover Adia's face because a not her own reflection causes much unpleasantness. Their duck running isn't considered conspicuous because of mystical brainwashing hoopla. His aim was perfect in the sense that he was trying to miss, hence that bullet getting amazingly close. That simple signal idea calmed him enough to pull this off because he thought the others getting near their beloved matron would help him remember her. Rain is especially upset about Laguna speaking improperly because she expects more of a professional writer. The Crystal Pillar getting jostled out of Centra might have riled those monsters up enough that they went near population centers like Windhill. Lethal Laughingstock's leg cramp almost returns when he hears that lovely sweater lady feels the same as Alone about what should happen with him. He gets to stay in the house Tiny Fortune Teller's parents own because she likely kept wandering over there anyway and it'd be best for her protection. Just like Renoa wasn't locked permanently in an Ultimisia-driven state, it's likely Adia isn't either. She could have very well spared Squall, healed him, and then gave them all a light sentence in a brief moment of self-awareness. Eventually, by present day, all non-combat staff at D District Prison may have been fired per sorcerer's orders for secrecy's sake. Thus, things like Ward's janitorial job would have been taken over by the usually incomprehensible Moonbuzz. Anyway, their hands aren't really what toilet brushes were designed for, hence the throne in Squall's cell being rather gross. Selphie likely took cure from a natural draw point far below in the desert. Must seem much more powerful than usual compared to all the sealed crap it's currently next to, thus it was easy to sense and tap into. Being able to subdue someone non-fatally was probably part of Garden's basic training, so they never truly hurt anyone a client wasn't requesting harm upon. The not sand-colored military mobile is likely what Irving picked Renoa up in. Something intended for a parade in the capital city wouldn't need much camouflage after all. Those missiles can be easily set to fail, so they serve purely as an intimidation tactic. Mounted would especially hope the target would surrender while things were on their way, and much wanted resources would wind up spared. That vicious vehicle's whole purpose is withstanding a counterstrike from countries not ruled by magical might. Thus it ain't so good against offensive mysticism, but can survive the base exploding just fine. There are probably non-elevator ways to get to the different floors that Sid utilized to pretend hide. Wouldn't be much of a shelter without ladders or stairs, now would it? Being nostalgic about his student career is what launched Squall into a Quistis-esque tutorial mode down in these tunnels. It takes multiple superhuman strength having folks to turn this valve, because that's the kind of workplace safety standard you need in a world where literal giant monsters are everywhere. Related, tech like battle rockets have biological resembling features such as eye lenses so they can be more intimidating towards feral creatures that might be under consideration for possible taming. Save points are not identical to those rings surrounding the garden safe houses. They may very well be some sort of mini barrier developed during the Sorceress War, so top importance having individuals at least could protect themselves anywhere. Plus, Odin may have invented them, possibly for Adele. The girl who says she wishes they could go far, far away may have heard Selphie's train song. After all, the quad is where that garden festival she's now in charge of will take place. This part about him being her only hope may refer to Kid Cranky's presence being able to lure Laguna back to Windhill, and more specifically, Rain's side. Their search for it alone may have led to the Galbadian salvaging that thing from a recently wrecked base. Weapons are probably still able to be easily modified at the pacifist FH because this shopkeeper typically just works on spears used for fishing. In addition to Squall being bad with people things, Renault is extra emotional here because all her new friends are playing a song her dead mother wrote. The folks at Fisherman's Horizon may know how to fix the big battle boat because their home used to be a mobile shelter and they have blueprints for such things. Plus, individuals like the person who helped paint Balam Garden might have worked for the architecture firm who designed these places. Raijin recovers so quickly from the party defeating him because getting beat up is how Fujin typically wakes him from a nap. The contractors from Seafood City may have made collapsible stage equipment Selphie could put into super safe storage so things wouldn't get wrecked again before the next festival. These gravestones in Trabia may have been made from the debris found near or even on top of various students who didn't make it. On that note, this Timber Maniacs one can so rudely swipe may have been being read to the fallen by a grieving friend. Idia disarming them all before prison sentence time may have started to jog their memories, both in the sense that unequipping those GF made recollection better, and her mere presence sparked huge reminders. Squall may have decided to wear a ring outside his gloves once he realized things were being forgotten. An ever-present memento might be able to help stop things from slipping more than anything else. Irving's limit break might just be maintaining enough concentration to use his skills to their fullest. In other words, not choking. Kicks don't do much damage because the only place his legs can currently reach without risking falling is the most armored part. Those background students fighting with gunblades during the run to Galbadia Garden may have been inspired by their cool new commander. Why else would such a famously difficult weapon be suddenly so popular? Aura draw points might be generated by nature's limit break. This demon hockey team must be extra peeved because the schools ramming each other was ruining their practice. Some G student may have tried summoning Cerberus to stop the invasion but failed due to their curriculum's lack of training in that particular subject. The Sorcerer's Room might actually be this place's bridge. Rival boys babbling on about his romantic dreams and childhood may have caused Ultimisia to want to further probe Adia's memories, hence her recognizing legendary seed person at his current age. The party is holding back against their mother figure, thus limit breaks aren't available in this battle. Zell and Selphie may have decided to put on their old uniforms to reminisce after almost losing Balam. Also, they'd want to cheer the underclassmen up. Junk is everyone's grudge, but directed at reality itself for all the Tonberry's FF fans have taken out over the years. Ward's casual outfit is likely his D-District janitor's uniform with the jumpsuit halfway unzipped. Irving's all frustrated in the corner, going back to his fake womanizer persona because he's bummed Selphie's paying attention to that message board more than him. Elone probably read that issue and many other Timber Maniacs as she hid with the white seeds, enjoying Uncle Laguna's writing and all. The Great Salt Lake situation, what with being full of skeletons and the whole absolutely dry thing, could be because it was part of a big Sorceress War battle wherein Adele successfully took over Esthar. The undead monster proliferation probably came about when she started reviving stuff to serve as minions afterwards. In fact, she may have intentionally goaded the country into thinking it could win, just to build up her army in this manner. They don't take heroic happiness as weapons, because they are too confident in their tech and miss Mystic Muscle's magic. Odin likely figured out that she got Hein's powers right upon seeing her, because researching Adele showed such instances of comatose recipients in the past. Laguna's frequent requests for stupid inventions may unintentionally be impeding any remaining former ruler sympathizers. That is, his junk would be way different than anything that could help free her, thus it'd be really obvious whenever someone went off project. The 3 contact points are simply the only ones somebody can feasibly reach without use of the currently closed skyways. Safer likely dropped that literature while taking this thing over. Chances are he was trying to study up on how to counter Chicken Wuss's techniques. The Pandora probably had to pass over Titanic Tech Town so it could update its invisibility contraptions to said city's latest versions. There may be a somewhat weak weight-forcing field around that station made by literally using the gravity spell. Hence those astronauts so easily recovering the capsules by hand without being attached to any sort of precautionary cables. The inside must rely on its stronger form Grevisia or whatever. Obviously, Piet possesses a limit break which lets him change outfits unfathomably quick, which is good for getting out of bloodied scrubs following surgery. This innate talent is what inspired him to pursue a medical career. Elone may have recently been sending Perky Parent into Sour Sun's past after she realized one can't change history and make an actual proper childhood physically occur. Merely getting to see what he missed is just the next best thing. Zell got good at metalwork from having to maintain his gauntlets, hence he can quite easily make Renoa's ring. Sharing Mr. Linhart's junctions just like Laguna's crew likely ensured Miss Hartley could hold on and regain consciousness. The Ragnarok was probably pushed closer out of its junk orbit by that recent lunar cry. These propagators are rather weak because they haven't had anything to eat in up to 17 years. Squall's seed skills gave him an edge in sitting still without planetary pulling. Similarly, Renoa can do the same from her train top travel training. The Jumbo Cactuar GF may have manifested by all these smaller ones wishing for a champion to defeat all those neighboring creatures from that previous Moon Monster Mash. This Bahamut may actually be a more traditional summon beast unintentionally called here with Battleship Island's tech. Perhaps even the FF4 one, given this reality's also demon-infested moon. Similar world wavelengths could very well have made him think that this machine signal was Rydia's chant or something. Sorta similarly, if this planet is somewhat sentient like the FF7 one, then Ultima might be a GF imagined up by it. Like the other weapons, but playing by this realm's rules. Also, that blue light upstairs may have been draining those naturally resonating rocks at the bottom for power. Oh, and Eden could have been thought up by that just-mentioned creature being in awe over those research contraptions surrounding the excavation site. Apparently, this wounded dude just hides and doesn't perish when the El Noyo shows up. Seems those talking nonstop, aka the most Laguna-like soldiers, are who guard this place's presidential palace in modern day. A relatively small amount of history actually winds up compressed because Alone's powers are still restricted to people she's met, which technically does include Ultimecia, although the possibility of them growing strong enough to reach unfamiliar areas might exist, which she accidentally taps into just a bit, hence the presence of dinosaurs as enemies. The part Laguna was told to deliver may have come from Odin's research too, as the way they maintain their existence in time compression is similar to how GFs are created from within. Evil ethereal Empress only truly believes in herself, so she's actually okay alone. In a depressing manner anyway. Plus they may resist the magic amnesia easier by this point in time, because their bonds have gotten much stronger too. Of course, interacting with his son for the first time makes him nervous enough to cramp up again. In Safer's obsession with fantasy, similar to how he got inspired to train with the Gunblade by watching Laguna's movie, the guy likely checked out lore of Odin and devised that counterattack while daydreaming. Focusing on Idea's house might have led to them battling all those sorceresses. After all, the power they each share at least has been there too. Oh, the battleground starts out where those 3 main mystical maidens were first all together at. Wonderful Wife seeds are most prominent during Ultimecia's time period because they remain the most hidden. She'd have of course quickly wiped out the ones in Garden, which stand out much more than a regular ship. Ragnarok wound up there because it'd be used in the future to map things out more by Esthar once Elone was guaranteed safe. The losing CC group will be on board because they'd have strong enough relationship with the whole party if defeated. Just their King Quistis isn't enough to hold on during the ultimate spell being cast. Speaking of which, Worrying Whipper had to hide her status as a master card player because she didn't want to risk the students delaying their work by constantly challenging her in class. Princess Paranoia can't seal Gilgamesh because he's from an entirely different timeline. She sent some sorcery over history, not the multiverse after all. It seems the Void's power is greater than time compression. Oh, Omega might have been something called forth by Ultimecia to destroy all the C's GFs. Part of the reason she can draw Griever from Squall is because how much the entire party believes in his strength. Thing uses Shockwave Pulsar because standard studying lets Salty Slasher know that it's the strongest spell a non-human can learn. Perhaps need to self-assure of her own individualities because as she weakens everything is starting to edge toward her natural time of death due to the compression. Especially because a fear of losing would overcome that eternal rage, the only thing letting her hold on. It's not raw physical might that allows him to defeat Ultimecia, but rather his ability to lead them to a state that lets them survive chronological crashing. Maybe the way they'd live without passing on the power would be as a personality-free shell that could only experience pain, sort of like Heinz Husk may have been. Adia likely grasped time travel quickly because it's part of some spell history she learned while studying about her newly gained powers, particularly on how to avoid becoming someone like Adele. Squall isn't directly transported to his friends and family because the feelings of lonely past him are nearly as strong as the current ones in this moment. Compressed future likely doesn't get run into as time passes because Renault's desire to see it all end made a new correct history once they all were happy and contented enough. Plus Odin surely helped finalize everything later, if only to stroke his own ego. Safer Trio's overwhelming desire to hang out again might have united them during the final battle, and they were just chilling this entire time. In addition to trying to hide away from people just in case she got possessed again, the married couple may have been staying at the ruined orphanage to look for Adia's not evil looking wardrobe. Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.